Hello, my name is Kelly, and I will be talking about Costa Rica. A little fun fact about me, my family is actually from Costa Rica. I was born here, and I got to a couple of years ago, I got to actually go to see Costa Rica, and these are just a couple of photos that I took while I was there. Costa Rica is on that little land bridge going towards South America. We are considered Central Americans. We are surrounded by the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, and our two neighboring countries is Panama and Nicaragua. Our culture, it is mostly white and mestizo, being 91%, but it still varies because it depends on the different Europeans that were mixed in with the Amerindians. Uh, there is a 3% of Afro Costa Ricans who are actually immigrant workers that are descendants from immigrant workers that came from Jamaica in the 19th century. And then we have Amerindians, and then we have 1% of Chinese descent in Costa Rica. One of the important gestures that we as Costa Ricans value as important, really important, is eye contact. Eye contact is just showing us that you are trustworthy and honest. Uh, so eye contact is very important for this culture. As for formal and informal, Costa Ricans are pretty laid back when it comes to just friends and family. They are fine with physical contact among the different sexes. So you can hug and all that when you tend to know them a lot more, like a lot better. But when it's formal communication, like with strangers, we tend to stick with very formal conversations like yes ma'am or yes sir, which is si senor or si senora. As you know, family is pretty important for Hispanic culture. Costa Ricans are no different. Costa Rican families are pretty much composed of mother and father and children, but you also see the extended family along with that. So you'll see the grandparents, the aunts, and the uncles are usually present, and they typically help with child raising. And of course, support within our family is pretty high valued. Um, but I've growing up in Costa Rican culture as well, I have noticed that we're pretty conservative. Um, we do tend to stay at home until we are married. That is considered something very um, important in our family. And of course, when the couple is having their first child, it is considered a very big milestone for that new little family. And of course, family is going to be gathered and celebrating the life of this new child. A lot of Costa Rica's youth enjoy a lot of recreational and social activities. One of which is the beach. The beach has become um, a culture for the youth. They're seeing a lot on the weekends and stuff, they're going to the beach surfing, parasailing, things like that. One of the biggest and popular sports in the country is, of course, soccer. Soccer is very it is very popular in the country. You will go to the smallest or ruralest area of the country, and they will have a soccer field. And there's usually children playing on it, or they might have actual adult team sports. It's played all the time. For the youth, they they do have a working age of 15, but depending on who their family is, most families that are agricultural families, they tend to go to work at a much younger age, practically when they're able to. As soon as they're able to, they are sent to work. The legal driving age for Costa Rica is 18, but again, depending on the situation for the family, it can vary, and some children learn at a very young age to drive. Staples in a Costa Rican diet is usually consisting of white rice, beans, fresh fruit, seafood, farm-raised meat, and coffee. Costa Rica has a lot of fresh fruit and fish because of where we are located, since we are in that tropical climate around that the Pacific and the Caribbean Sea. We are able to get a lot of fresh fish, and also the climate makes we can actually grow a lot of fruit there. Coffee is one of the major agricultural crops and tend to be served for breakfast, and sometimes, depending on the people or the person, they can drink coffee for their afternoon meals. And some of the afternoon meals or afternoon snacks before the actual dinner, you tend to see coffee and some kind of cake, pastry, or something sweet to go with that afternoon. Something that I had to put on here is one of the gestures of respect when eating a meal for Costa Ricans is waiting until everyone at the table has been served to actually begin eating. It is a sign of respect, and of course, we tend to wait for everyone. That way we can all start together and we all can end together. The dominant religion in Costa Rica is Roman Catholic. And even though the Catholic Church is respected, many don't really attend church regularly, and some maintain independence from the church. Before the 20th century, a lot of Costa Ricans used to use traditional healers, and they have started to be more receptive to the Western healthcare practices and traditional, but some do still practice the traditional, which includes like alternative and herbal medicine, and of course prayer. Some family members do look for spiritual help with illnesses because, they believe that the illness was a will of God. So prayer is also important. We would just have to ask for that person's personal belief and see what exactly do they believe, if they want a healer, or do they want to pray, or they want to try Western practices, healthcare practices. Of course, being in a tropical climate country, it has many tropical related diseases, such as malaria, dengue fever, Zika virus, and leptospirosis. And I did a little research on the leptospirosis because I wasn't really sure. I've never really heard of it, and I was gonna let y'all know so y'all know a little bit about it. Leptospirosis is a zoonotic disease, which means that it is transmitted from animal to human. It can be transmitted human to human, but it's really rare to see that kind of transmission. In some severe cases, the disease can attack organs, vital organs, such as kidneys, liver, the brain, lungs, and heart. Another illness that is rising among Costa Ricans is autoimmune disease and the neurologic disorders. They're thinking that it has to be attributed to the overuse of pesticides in the country, but they're not really sure. So in the 1980s, Costa Rica's healthcare wasn't doing very good. The healthcare had suffered a global economic downturn, which had drastically increased Costa Rica's debt. So Costa Rica decided to create a new healthcare delivery model, and they started this in 1994. And it was a big success. It is called EBAIS, which I translated what it actually means. It is a basic integrated healthcare team. So they could provide, or this team could provide, the 4 critical functions of primary health care, which is first contact access, comprehensiveness, continuity, and of course coordination. Costa Rica really saw a difference in the first 10 years. So with the population that was getting access to healthcare, the infant mortality rate declined by 8%, and the adult mortality rate declined by 2%. So here is the basic model that physicians, nurses, and technical assistants, clerks, and pharmacists, this is what they pretty much do. The physicians, they do what we have here, and which is curative and preventative care. The nurses provide basic clinical tasks and health counseling. The technical assistants, they're responsible for health promotion, or health promotional activities and basic sanitation. They also can go to homes and provide this kind of care, or go to community centers. The clerks are like our front desk. They consist of patient intake and patient data and collection and management of that information. And then they also have pharmacists now, and pharmacists are responsible for the distribution of medicine. So it looks very similar to what we have here in the United States, and this has helped Costa Rica become better with their healthcare, and it has shown that it has been successful over the years.